Hello and welcome to the show. Well, Melbourne goes into Labor this weekend. What's all that about? Kevin Brogan from CoreLogic joins me in just a moment and we'll give you all the details. Outsourcing will dramatically improve your productivity and profitability. Sure Agents have created a staffing solution to provide great staff who can perform duties in property management, sales, marketing and administration, and at a fraction of the cost, giving you and the team more time to spend on the dollar productive tasks. With rising costs and slowing revenue, the focus must be on value for money. Check it out, sureagents.com. Welcome back to the show. As I said, Melbourne goes into Labor this weekend. Giving birth, do you think, Kevin Brogan, or what's happening?
Look, obviously a reference to the Labor Day holiday on Monday, and Melbourne really does take public holidays very seriously. So we certainly see this as a seasonal effect, and we're going to see a number of interruptions through the market rhythm over the next few weeks leading through to Easter.
Yeah, well, in fact, we'll bring those numbers up for you in just a moment. Let's firstly have a look at the final auction clearance rates from last weekend. Stacked up pretty well. Sydney did all right, 76.6%, Kevin.
Yeah, look, absolutely. We did mention in our last broadcast, we thought that the final figures would show a slight adjustment down from the preliminary, but that is still a very solid result and very satisfying, obviously, for Sydney, just staying slightly ahead of Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne at 74.8%. Brisbane, 60.5%. A good result out of Brisbane.
Look, it certainly is. I mean, we have discussed the Brisbane market before. It does very much sort of run its own race, but 60% for Brisbane is a pretty solid outcome. Not a hugely busy weekend, but it's pleasing to see the collection rate right up there. About 95% of results came in, so that's a very solid confirmed result.
And Canberra, of course, again another good result, almost 70% there. So well done to the Canberra market, and a good number of auctions there at 83 as well. We'll bring up the auction numbers ahead for this week, but before we do, let's just quickly bring up the Sydney sub-region results. Kevin, what were the standouts there for you?
Yeah, look, I think possibly the standout would be Parramatta, although it wasn't the highest of the sub-regions, the clearance rates, but 84.1% from quite a solid number of auctions, 73 auctions. We don't often see Parramatta at the top of the league table. Position number one taken by the Northern Beaches at 87.1%. Now that's a very good outcome, but again, that's not surprising. Northern Beaches is a traditional strong performer. And North Sydney and Hornsby as well, not that far behind at 83% from 169 auctions. So that's one of the two busiest auction sub-regions.
Okay, we'll bring up the Melbourne results now, and we've got to highlight, even though it wasn't the highest clearance rate, but inner at almost 81%, but a good number of auctions there as well, Kevin.
Yeah, so in the inner region came in second and over 80% from 354 auctions. That's the busiest sub-region by quite some margin. The outer east gave us the highest clearance rate at 82.2%. Still a good number of auctions, 126 auctions over the week, and the northwest coming in third place, again 137 auctions and 76.3%. So most of the regions really pretty solid. Even the Mornington Peninsula that we see sometimes a little bit volatile was sitting just under 70%. Okay,
well, let's have a look at what the auction numbers are like for this weekend. Sydney, of course, 796, almost 800 auctions, but we can see the impact of the Labor Day long weekend in Melbourne at 390, Kevin.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that is down significantly. I mean, there were 1,600 auctions last week, down to about 390. The public holiday is also in Adelaide, where we call it Adelaide Cup Day. And you can see that the number of auctions, again, is down in Adelaide. It's also a public holiday in Tasmania, but obviously the auction market is not not large in Tasmania.
That's interesting that you've got a long weekend in Adelaide as well. What is it, the Adelaide Cup?
Yes, the Adelaide Cup Day, yeah.
You're going to get along to that, Kevin? You're having a bet?
Possibly not. I'll seek advice before I have a flutter.
Oh, I think that's a good idea. Okay, well, let's take you back to the final clearance results. We'll quickly run through those for you before we leave you. Sydney, 76.6%, Melbourne, 74.8%, Brisbane at 60.5%, Adelaide, 56.4%, Perth at 29.4%, and Canberra. Good result out of Canberra, almost 70%, 69.5%. A weighted average across the capital cities of 73.9%. Kevin Brogan will join me again on Monday. We'll have a look through the top results around Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth. And Kevin, you'll be right to join us, even though it's a public holiday in Adelaide.
Absolutely, always on duty, Kevin.
You don't really take public holidays, a bit like me, actually.
No, that's right.
Kevin, thanks very much for your time, my friend, and look forward to catching up with you. Have a wonderful long weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Speak to you then.